why do you think people should listen to you on this episode today?
My background is very diverse. I've had the opportunity to build and scale software platforms and software teams over the last 15 or more years in my career. And in that time, I've really found that we succeed best when the systems that we build are simple and understandable by most. That allows us to really grow and scale, not only our businesses, but the software systems underneath them.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and whomever is listening, today's guest is Brian. Brian is a seasoned technologist with passion for helping leaders navigate complex tech decisions. With over 15 years of experience in software engineering, cloud computing, and cybersecurity, he advises CTOs, CEOs, and founders, enabling them to build scalable and efficient tech systems. Brian's hands-on result-driven approach helps companies avoid costly tech mistakes, offering strategic guidance, practical framework for growth. If you are a founder and you're feeling overwhelmed, like myself, this episode is for you. So let's just go straight right into it. There is this concept within the tech ecosystem. At least let's talk about mainstream tech,
Okay.
where there is this notion that there is no room for non-technical founders. That is, if you want to go into tech, you need to have like a technical background. And because what many people feel is that if you don't have that background, you might not be able to properly communicate your vision to your technical teams or your developers. So how do you respond to such a notion, and how do non-technical co-founders, how are they going to be able to communicate all of their vision to technical people for them to help them build and bring their vision to life? A very long question.
That's a great question, though. And I almost want to disagree with it entirely, that in order to build a successful company, as a founder, you need to be technical. And I don't agree with that. I have worked with and get the opportunity to work with a number of non-technical founders. And what I really appreciate is that they are true visionaries. They have an idea, they have a solution that they want to bring out into the market. They have the ability to sell, to market, to bring in team members into the organization. A lot of skills that, frankly, technology people don't necessarily have or aren't as good at. And so for me as a technologist, I really love working with non-technical founders because they have that energy, because they have that desire, that vision to bring something to life. What I think that most non-technical founders do need is just a really strong partner that can be that translation between their grand vision and how do we bring that to life with technology. And I think that's the challenge that we constantly see. And then we just resolve to the answer being, oh, well, you just need to be technical so that you can build it yourself. And if I'm honest, most technical people aren't also visionary and have a great idea that they want to build. They just come up with projects that allow them to play with new and fun technologies, which doesn't always equate to a successful business.
Oh, thank you so much, Brian. Because the way you explained it now is much more clearer to me. And for people who are non-technical, who might be panicking, what Brian basically just said was, one of the ways that you can go about it is for you to find yourself a technical founder. But the thing about you being non-technical is that oftentimes people don't see tech or startups. They don't see it like a business. They see it like a project. And the reality is that the moment you see it as a business, you will be able to, how am I going to phrase this? Imagine the business itself does not rely on tech. It means you need to go out, sell, do events, and make people generate leads, do all of those stuff that they were doing in the 1800s without tech. So it means that you should be able to sell, you should be able to approach people, you should be able to convince people. And more often than not, it is non-technical people who naturally have this skill set, and much more than technical people. And that's the reason why it's very important that because you're not a non-technical person, you shouldn't think that you will not be able to set up like a very profitable tech business. Which leads me to the question, because businesses comes with challenges. And so what are the kind of, from your own experience, you said you met with different technical founders, non-technical founders, you worked with them in the past. So what are the challenges that they oftentimes experience when it comes to development of software, and how do you think that they overcome such challenges?
I think one of the biggest challenges that non-technical founders have is technology feels like magic. It feels like a black box that we're just never going to understand. And so the big risk that I see for a lot of non-technical founders is that they will start to work with anyone that starts to sound technical. If anyone seems like a developer or an engineer, they're going to immediately give over a significant portion of their company just to have someone to help build the thing, because they don't feel like they can understand it. And really, I think that's a huge mistake and a huge risk for those founders. And so for non-technical founders, I encourage you to start to learn a little bit about technology. What does it mean to be cloud computing? What does it mean to have a scalable software system, or to sell a subscription model or something along those lines? We don't need to necessarily understand the deep intricacies of how the software system works, but it's valuable for us all to understand. Now, even counter to that, I think technical people should understand what goes into marketing, what goes into the sales process. What can we do from a technology standpoint to really provide business value? And at the end of the day, as developers building software, that's the entire reason we're there, is so that we can build business value.
So we shouldn't just stick to what we know. We should try to venture into the things that we don't know, and not necessarily go in depth into it, but at least have an idea of what the other person will be bringing into the table. Then you have a clear vision of what value means when you're sourcing for a co-founder. Now, the question is, what are if life went away but was a bed of roses now, for example, what are the basic characteristics that one should be looking for in a co-founder?
The way I evaluate co-founders or potential contractors or employees is based on the questions that they ask. The deeper the questions are, the more interested they are in the problem we're solving, the business we're trying to build, how we plan on getting there. Even if I don't have an answer for their question, the better their questions are, that's a great indicator for how good of a partner they're going to be. Co-foundership is really, it's very, very much like a marriage, right? It's a very deep relationship. We're going to be combining our time, our resources, bringing that all together and hopefully creating something significant. And we need to make sure that we found the right person. And one of the big mistakes I see a lot of non-technical founders making is they just will immediately start to hand over part of their company without making sure that they found the right person. So I always encourage non-technical founders to start working with, folks like myself as a fractional CTO, right? I'm not a co-founder, but I can help you definitely steer in the right direction technically, or find, other technical advisors or consultants that you really can trust without going and searching immediately for a co-founder.
Okay. So that still very much leans back into what you said earlier, where you go out to seek knowledge, because working with a fractional CTO, working with consultants, over time allows you to build capacity in terms of knowledge of what is required for the business technically. And when you feel you're ready for a co-founder, you know exactly what you're looking for when a co-founder is coming. But aside co-founders now, there is also a thing here in the West whereby you are trying to build and you're trying to assemble a team, but because you're very small, you are lean, you don't have funding, you choose to outsource all of your development offshore. So and there are so many stories around outsourcing your product development offshore. I would like to know your experience around this, and what are the benefits that you've seen. Obviously, aside it's been slightly affordable, what are the challenges you have seen as well?
Yeah, so I mean, there's certainly no shortage of horror stories of working with development agencies or freelancers kind of anywhere in the world. And I think, unfortunately, that those stories give us a bad taste, or they make us want to avoid that idea. And there's, I'm hiring for some of my teams now and running into all sorts of, fake resumes and profiles and that sort of thing. So I certainly understand. Now, there is absolutely a benefit to leveraging, talent outside of just your regional area. So I don't really like to think of it as outsourcing just to find cheaper labor. I do like to think of it as, if I can, find some other talent somewhere else in the world, I can do a few things, right? I can certainly reduce my cost because I'm able to find somebody who has a lower cost of living country. I can find talent that I wouldn't have access to in my local region, right? My local region may be completely employed and not have any capacity. I can also leverage things like time zones so that I can have more people working for my company, pushing the project forward while I'm sleeping. While others are sleeping, others are working. Now, it's certainly a challenge, but it's a challenge worth really investing time into, because now I can really leverage the entire 24 hours of the day and pushing my software project forward.
The part of the time zone that you mentioned, it's one of my favorite part of it, because it makes your business look like it's running 24 hours around the clock, where anytime you're trying to shut down for the day, you've dropped a bunch of messages for the team in the other time zone to pick it up, and they're just working. And if you also have a client in a different time zone or an investor in a different time zone, those people can pick up their conversation for you whilst you're away, and your investors feel a bit much more confident that, okay, things are going in the right direction. So going into SaaS now, what are the critical mistakes that do founders often make when building their SaaS companies, and how can you avoid them? Before you answer that, we are currently in our pre-seed round at Transition School, and so it is a school that helps newbies transition from whatever discipline, or students, professionals transitioning them into tech. So it's called transition school, as the name implies. So we're currently in that phase now, and we're basically just like two of us at the moment, my co-founder and I. So what are the things that someone in my own situation what are the things that we will surely see, we will surely experience that we can like mitigate?
Yeah. So a couple of things. I, especially being a technologist, like to say that technology is the easiest part of what we do. It's the other pieces that are required to have a successful business. And so one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of founders make is using the technology hasn't been built yet as the excuse for not going out and talking to customers or trying to do sales, trying to make sure that what it is that they're spending time and money on building is actually something that is solving real people's needs. And so I think that building the technology should really be one of the very last phases as you're going through this journey. Start by what's not scalable. What are the ways that you can prove that the way that you're solving this particular problem is truly something that you can find a customer group for so much that that customer group is willing to pay you money right then before something is even completely built, because they trust you to solve that particular problem.
So what are those exact things that we need to do? Marketing, social? Just tell us.
It's surprisingly simple, but not easy to do. You actually have to go out and talk to people. You have to go out and talk to your potential customers. It doesn't mean create a website. It doesn't mean you need a perfect logo. It means you need to identify who your ideal client is and go out and talk to them and say, hey, do you have this problem? Okay. And what would a perfect solution look like for you? And then talk to a few more people and talk to a few more people, and then find out what are the commonalities across all of those different people that you could start to then wrap some processes, some systems, and then ultimately some software around to solve that particular problem. So everything that, it could be email, spreadsheets, handwritten as a process is certainly a way to get started before you invest tons of money in building software. I think let's prove that it's a viable business first.
So everyone listening to us at the moment now, you heard it from Brian. It is not as difficult as it is not as difficult as most founders make it to be. You have an idea. Validate the idea. You don't want to go on because you feel so passionate about the problem in which you're solving and go on to the very end, build it, and there is no one ready. There is no problem that you're actually solving. You just solved something for yourself. So try to validate the ideas, speak with people. If you have people, interview a lot of people, find out how many people would want to use your solution for free, would want to pay for your solution, and you build like a small MVP, a mock-up or something that they can use in the interim, and they keep doing. Then there's like an infinite feedback loop on how you keep on improving the product before you now consider launch. The actual launch, I told to everyone that I said that the actual launch starts the day that starts communicating the idea or the problems to the people who actually need it. The grand quote and unquote launch day that everybody's always looking for. Usually there's nothing much that happens on the day that you launch. Most businesses you just like take it live and nothing. But like you got that momentum around a solution that you are building. Then when you tell people that we are launching today and you put a timer on it, you will literally see the effect of all the activities that you've put before you even started building the product. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for the time, Brian. Just one more question. What are your thoughts on AI? Because I know you get these questions a lot. So what are your thoughts on AI within the space?
AI in general, I think, is one of those seismic shifts for us from a technology perspective. Same way the internet and mobile really had a significant shift in the way that we live and work. I think AI plays a very, very similar role. I am less concerned about AI taking my job and more so about someone that is leveraging AI to better the way that they do their job. That's more what I'm concerned about. And so I think that there's a lot of opportunity for all of us to find better ways that we can become more productive in order to do our jobs better, serve our clients more highly. And I think that's a big opportunity. AI is a very exciting space, and I'm really interested to see what comes over the next couple years for sure.
Yeah, it's fun times. It's interesting times. The reason why it's one of the most exciting times to build as an entrepreneur right now, because if you are bootstrapped now, you don't necessarily need to go out and hire as often as you used to, maybe like some 5 years ago, where you just need to like hire to make sure somebody gets a task done. Now you can usually have, like, from a marketing perspective, you can have like a brainstorm partner that you guys just go back onto an idea is fleshing out, and you do all of that in the space of 30 minutes, rather than 5 years ago you send an email to the old team, you guys sit together, you look at it together, and you come up with an idea, and if it doesn't work, you guys will come back and do it again. But with AI, you can rapid fire test everything that you need to do, and you get to the very end of it. So if you've made it this far, ladies and gentlemen, this is Brian Childress. He's spoken with us extensively about what's the benefits of AI. He's spoken with us what to look out for when setting up a business. He said it certainly that you should look at everything from a business perspective, even before the technology, and also the things that you need to look out for when you are trying to hire and build a team around your business. Thank you so much, Brian. Do you have any questions for before you leave?
No, I really appreciate your time this afternoon.
All right. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I still remain your guy, Mahmoud Olabikashira, on the How I Did It podcast. Until the next one, we go be. Peace.